Before I tell you what happened between Officer Kiara Chen and inmate 4782, before I show you how love became the most dangerous weapon in a place built to destroy hope, subscribe to Sapphic Whispers and comment where you're watching from, because what you're about to hear, some of you won't believe it's real. The fluorescent lights in processing hummed like trapped wasps. Kiara Chen had learned to ignore that sound 3 years ago, the same way she'd learned to ignore the smell of industrial cleaner failing to mask desperation, the metallic clang of doors that never stopped echoing in her skull even when she went home. Home, the studio apartment where she microwaved dinners and didn't answer her mother's calls. Inmate 4782 stepped forward. The woman who moved into the light didn't shuffle like the others. Her dark skin caught the harsh fluorescence, turned it into something almost golden. Cornrows pulled back tight, revealing a face that could have sold poetry or prosecuted cases. Sharp cheekbones, eyes that measured everything and gave nothing back. Hands on the counter. Mia Davis placed her palms flat against the scarred laminate. No hesitation, no tremor. Kiara had processed 217 women through this facility. She knew the types, the weepers, the fighters, the already broken ones who moved like ghosts. This woman was none of those things. "You don't remember me, do you?" The voice slid under Tiara's ribs like a blade between bone, smooth, educated, familiar in a way that made her fingers freeze on the intake form. Inmates don't speak unless... The Dawson case. Mia's eyes lifted, met hers. 3 years ago, you were the arresting officer. The pen slipped from Kiara's hand, clattered against the floor. The sound exploded in the small room. No. I don't... Kiara's throat had gone dry. I process a lot of arrests. Not like mine. Something flickered in Mia's expression. Not anger. Worse. Understanding. I screamed that he was going to kill me. You told me to calm down. You believed him. Officer Rodriguez appeared in the doorway, clipboard in hand. "Chen, you good?" Kiara's spine snapped straight. "Fine, just verifying information." She picked up the pen with steady hands, years of practice at hiding the shake. "Strip search, then cell block D." "D's full," Rodriguez said. "She's going to C, cell 47. The cell directly across from the officer's station, where Kiara would see her every single shift. Mia smiled then. Small, devastating. "Perfect," she said softly. As Rodriguez led her away, Mia paused at the threshold, turned her head just enough that her next words landed like a kiss against Kiara's ear. "I asked for this transfer. I've been waiting 3 years, Officer Chen. And now," her gaze dragged down Kiara's uniform, slow enough to burn. "Now we have all the time in the world." The door slammed shut. Kiara stood alone in processing, her heartbeat too loud, her breath coming too fast. On the intake form, Mia's charge stared back at her in neat black letters. Manslaughter, 2nd degree. Victim, Marcus Dawson. The name punched through her chest. She remembered. God help her. She remembered everything. Her office was a closet with a desk. Kiara locked the door anyway. The filing cabinet in the corner held 3 years of failure she wasn't supposed to keep. Cases that went wrong. Women she'd arrested who maybe, possibly, shouldn't have been. Evidence she'd seen too late or not at all. The Dawson file was 3rd from the bottom.
The photos came first. Marcus Dawson, 43, clean cut in his DMV photo, successful accountant, deacon at his church, dead on his kitchen floor, with a chef's knife in his chest, and his blood soaked into Italian tile. Then Mia, younger in the arrest photo, terror raw on her face, mascara streaked down her cheeks, hospital bracelet on her wrist from the ER visit 2 hours before she'd killed him. Kiara had been the responding officer. She remembered Marcus's mother sobbing in the living room, remembered the neighbors who said Mia was difficult, remembered her sergeant telling her this was open and shut. She'd believed them. Mia had told her about the bruises. Kiara had seen the hospital report, contusions consistent with a fall. Mia had begged her to check his phone, his emails. Kiara had told her to wait for her lawyer. 6 months later, Mia took a plea deal. 7 years, eligible for parole in 5. Kiara made detective, then lost it 8 months later when another case, another woman she hadn't believed, turned out to be telling the truth. The department buried her here, in corrections, where mistakes didn't make the news. She flipped to the evidence log. Her own signature stared back at her, neat and certain, next to no evidence of coercion or ongoing domestic violence. Fuck, the words scraped out of her. A piece of paper slipped from between the pages, small, torn from a notebook. The handwriting was precise, almost architectural. I've been waiting for you. Kiara's office suddenly felt too small, the air too thin. A knock on the door made her slam the file shut. Chen? Rodriguez's voice. Shift change in 10. You coming or dying in there? Coming. She shoved the file back into the cabinet, locked it, pocketed the note. When she stepped into the corridor, the first thing she saw was cell 47, and Mia Davis, sitting on her bunk with a book in her lap, watching the door like she'd known exactly when Kiara would emerge. Their eyes met across 20 feet of concrete and steel. Mia raised one hand, pressed her palm against the bars. Waiting. Kiara's radio crackled to life. All units, we've got a situation in the yard. Officer needs assistance. She ran. But as she passed cell 47, she heard it. Soft, certain, impossible to unhear. Mia's laughter, following her down the hall. Recreation hour was controlled chaos. 200 women in an outdoor cage of chain link and concrete. Guards watching from towers, tension thick enough to choke on. Kiara hated yard duty. She stood against the east wall, hand near her radio, scanning for the flashpoints. The gangs, the debtors, the ones who'd been inside too long and had nothing left to lose. Officer Chen. She didn't turn, didn't need to. That voice had been circling her dreams for 3 nights straight. Inmates don't approach officers without permission. Then tell me to leave. Moved into her peripheral vision, slow and deliberate. Basketball game to her left, providing cover. I'll wait for you to find your spine. Kiara's jaw clenched. You want another week in solitary because I can arrange? You won't. Mia leaned against the wall beside her, close enough that Kiara could smell her. Institutional soap and something underneath, something warm. You're a terrible liar, Officer Chen. Mia's voice dropped lower, intimate. Your hands shake when you're scared. They were shaking and processing. They're shaking now. Kiara shoved her hands into her pocket.
The same thing you want. Mia turned her head, met Kiara's eyes dead on. The truth. The truth is you killed a man. The truth is I survived one. No anger in Mia's voice, just fact, heavy as stone. Marcus broke 3 of my ribs the night before I killed him, ruptured my spleen, told me if I went to the hospital again, he'd make sure I didn't come back. Kiara's throat tightened. The medical report said I fell because that's what I told them. Mia's smile was bitter. You know how it works, officer. The system believes men like Marcus, deacons, accountants, men who cry at funerals and coach Little League. So you stabbed him. So I waited until he fell asleep and I made sure he'd never touch me again. Mia's gaze didn't waver. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm asking if you can live with what you did to me. The words hit like a fist. Kiara opened her mouth. Chen! Rodriguez's shout cut across the yard. Got a problem by the weights. Professional instinct kicked in. Kiara moved. But Mia's hand caught her wrist. Just for a second, skin against skin, electricity that shot straight to Kiara's spine. I requested this facility, Mia whispered. When I found out you worked here, I pulled every string I had. So now you know. Her thumb pressed against Kiara's pulse point. The question is, what are you going to do about it? She let go. Kiara ran towards the disturbance, her wrist still burning where Mia had touched her. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My sister said I wouldn't reach 3,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me prove her wrong, that these tales matter. Please subscribe to Sapphic Whispers, and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Now let's continue. The disturbance was nothing, 2 inmates arguing over a basketball, all performance. By the time Kiara broke it up, rec hour was over. She watched Mia file back inside with the others, watched her disappear into the gray mass of jumpsuits and exhaustion. Then she went to the archives. The basement of Greystone Correctional smelled like mildew and forgotten lives. Boxes stacked floor to ceiling, labeled by year and case number. Kiara found the Dawson evidence box behind a broken filing cabinet. Inside, Marcus's phone, still in the evidence bag, never examined. She turned it on. It took 20 minutes to crack the passcode, his mother's birthday, helpfully listed in the file. Another 15 to find what Mia had begged her to look for 3 years ago. Texts, dozens of them. You stupid bitch. You embarrass me again and I'll put you in the ground.
Where are you? Answer me or I'm coming to find you. You think you can leave? I'll kill you before I let you walk out that door. Emails to his friends. The girlfriend's getting ideas. Might need to remind her who's in charge. Hospital records she'd somehow missed. 2 ER visits in 18 months. Broken collarbone, concussion. Both times, Mia claims she'd fallen. And photos. Mia and Marcus's phone, sleeping, unaware, dozens of them. Controlling, obsessive. The evidence of a man who'd been hunting his prey long before she fought back. Kiara's stomach turned. Her radio crackled. Chen, you down there? Shift's over. Yeah, coming. She locked the phone back in the evidence box with trembling hands. When she emerged from the basement, the evening shift was settling in. Lights dimmed to half power. The facility breathed differently at night. Slower, meaner. Kiara should have gone home. Instead, she found herself walking C-block. Cell 47's light was still on. Mia sat on her bunk, book in her lap, like she'd been waiting. When she saw Kiara, she stood, walked to the bars. You found it, she said, not a question. Kiara's throat was dry. Why didn't you tell me? 3 years ago, why didn't you? I did tell you. Mia's voice was soft, devastating. You didn't listen. Nobody did. I could have what? Now there was heat in Mia's words. Believed the hysterical black woman over the respectable white accountant? You want to feel better about what happened, Officer Chen? You want me to absolve you? I want to fix it. Mia laughed, sharp, humorless. You can't fix the past. You can barely fix yourself. The truth of it landed like a fist. Kiara stepped closer to the bars, close enough to see the gold flecks in Mia's dark eyes, the faint scar on her left eyebrow. You orchestrated this, she said quietly. You got yourself transferred here. Why? Because I needed to know. Know what? If you were worth saving. Mia's hand rose, fingers curling around the cold steel between them. If the woman who destroyed my life could look me in the eye and feel it. I feel it, Kiara's voice cracked. I feel it every fucking day. Good. Mia leaned in, close enough that Kiara could feel her breath. Then maybe you'll understand what I'm about to ask you to do. Footsteps, coming down the corridor.
Kiara stepped back just as Officer Henderson rounded the corner. Chen? Thought you left? Just finishing rounds. Her voice came out steady, professional. Have a good night, Henderson. She walked away without looking back, but she felt Mia's eyes on her the entire way down the hall. In the locker room, changing into civilian clothes, Kiara found something in her jacket pocket that hadn't been there this morning. A photograph. Herself, 3 years ago, in uniform, standing outside the Dawson crime scene. And on the back, in that precise handwriting, I've been watching you too. Her hands started shaking again. They didn't stop. Kiara didn't sleep that night. She lay in her studio apartment staring at the ceiling, the photograph on her nightstand like a live grenade. At 3 a.m., she got up and poured whiskey she didn't drink. At 4 a.m., she pulled up Mia's case file on her laptop and read every word until her eyes burned. At 5 a.m., she requested reassignment. By 9 a.m., Warden Holt had denied it. You're short-staffed, Kiara said, standing in the warden's office with her spine too straight, her voice too controlled. C-Block doesn't need 3 officers. Warden Holt didn't look up from her paperwork. 55, gray hair cut military short, a face that had forgotten how to smile sometime in the last decade. C-Block needs officers who show up on time and don't ask stupid questions. She signed something with a flourish. Denied. Next. Ma'am, is there a problem with inmate 4782? Now Holt's eyes lifted, sharp, assessing. Because if there is, Chen, I need to know about it. Kiara's pulse hammered. No problem. Good. Then you're dismissed. Outside the office, Officer Rodriguez was waiting, leaning against the wall with a coffee and a knowing look. Let me guess, Rodriguez said. You tried to run. I didn't. Chen, I've worked here 8 years. I know what trying to transfer looks like. Rodriguez pushed off the wall, fell into step beside her. What I don't know is why you'd want to leave right after that fine piece of trouble arrived in Seabrook. Kiara's jaw tightened. It's not. Relax, I'm not internal affairs. Rodriguez took a long sip of coffee. But I am your friend, and friends tell friends when they're about to do something catastrophically stupid. I'm not doing anything. Yet. Rodriguez stopped at the entrance to C-Block. But I will, because I've seen how you look at her, and I've seen how she looks at you. And Chen, she gripped Kiara's shoulder, hard. Whatever you're thinking, it ends one way, with you in a cell or her in the ground. Sometimes both. She walked away before Kiara could respond. 3 days passed.
3 days of Kiara avoiding C block when she could, taking every shift swap available. 3 days of Mia's eyes following her whenever their paths crossed, in a cafeteria, during count, in the yard. 3 days of Kiara's hands shaking every time she saw cell 47. On the 4th night, the power went out. Kiara was doing rounds in C block when the lights died. Emergency generators kicked in after 5 seconds of perfect darkness, bathing everything in red. Lockdown protocol, Henderson's voice crackled over the radio. Officers maintain positions, this is not a drill. The inmates stirred, voices rising, hands gripping bars. Everyone stay calm, Kiara called out, moving down the corridor. It's just a power outage, lights will be back in. Officer Chen, Mia's voice cut through the chaos, calm, certain. Could you come here, please? Kiara's feet stopped moving. Every protocol she'd ever learned said don't approach cells during lockdown, don't engage with inmates, wait for backup. She walked to cell 47 anyway. Mia stood at the bars, hands loose at her sides, face half shadowed in the red emergency light. You've been avoiding me, Mia said. I've been working. You've been running, Mia tilted her head. From me, or from what you found in that evidence box? Kiara glanced down the corridor. Empty. Henderson was at the far end of the block, managing the louder inmates. I can't do this, Kiara said quietly. Do what? Whatever this is, whatever you think. I think you're drowning in guilt. Mia's voice was soft, devastating. I think you wake up every morning and put on that uniform and pretend discipline will save you from what you did. But it won't, Kiara. It never does. Hearing her first name in Mia's mouth felt like a confession. You don't know anything about me. I know everything about you. Mia stepped closer to the bars. I know your mother calls twice a week and you never answer. I know you eat lunch alone. I know you haven't been in a relationship since you made detective because you don't think you don't deserve to be loved. Kiara's pulse caught. How? Because I'm the same. Mia's hand rose, fingers wrapping around the cold steel. We're both locked in cages we built ourselves. The only difference is, mine has bars you can see. The lights flickered, died again. This time the generators didn't kick in. Perfect darkness swallowed C block. Inmates screamed. Kiara's hand went to a radio, static. The backup system was down. Chen, Anderson's voice, distant. Stay where you are, don't move. Kiara should have listened. Instead, she heard Mia's breathing in the dark, felt the heat of her through the bars. Talk to me, Mia whispered. Please, just talk to me. And God help her, Kiara did. I believed him, the words scraped out of her throat. Marcus, he cried when I interviewed him in the hospital, told me you were unstable, that you had threatened him before, and I believed him because men like him are easy to believe. Because I was lazy, Kiara's voice cracked. I was 6 months from making detective. I had 15 other cases. I wanted it to be simple. So you made me a murderer instead of a victim. Yes. Silence. Just their breathing in the dark. Then Mia's voice softer. He told me he loved me. The night before I killed him, he brought me flowers, apologized for the hospital, promised it would never happen again. A pause. I believed him too, so maybe we're just fucking idiots. Kiara laughed, broken, unexpected. Yeah, maybe. Kiara. Mia's hand found her through the bars, skin against skin in the darkness. I need to tell you something. What? I didn't just request this transfer to make you feel guilty. Her thumb traced Kiara's knuckles, slow, deliberate. I've been watching you too, hating you, wanting to destroy you. Her grip tightened, and somewhere in all that hate, I started wanting you in other ways too. Kiara's heart stopped. It's not healthy, it's not smart, it's probably not even real. Mia pulled her closer until Kiara was pressed against the bars. But it's the truth, and I'm done lying. Their faces were inches apart. Kiara could feel Mia's breath against her lips. My hand, Mia whispered. I know, this ends badly. I know. Mia, the lights slammed back on, fluorescent and brutal. Kiara jerked backward, her hands slipping from Mia's. Footsteps pounded down the corridor, Henderson and Rodriguez, flashlights cutting through the...
All clear? Rodriguez asked carefully. All clear. But when Kiara walked away, she felt Mia's gaze burning into her spine. And when she looked back, she couldn't help it. Mia was smiling. Small, knowing, dangerous. In the locker room after shift, Kiara found a message scratched into her locker door. Fresh, the metal still bright where something sharp had carved, coward. She slammed the locker shut hard enough to dent it. Then she pulled out her phone and did the thing she'd sworn she wouldn't do. She looked up Mia's visitor logs. No one. Not in 3 years. No family, no friends, no one had come to see her once. Kiara's chest tightened. She closed the file, opened her messages, found her supervisor's name, typed,
I need to request a formal investigation into case 2021-4782, Mia Davis. New evidence has come to light. Her finger hovered over send. The next morning, Kiara was summoned to Warden Holt's office. She knew before she walked in that something had changed. The air felt different, charged, dangerous. Holt sat behind her desk, hands folded, no paperwork this time. Close the door, Chen. Kiara did. We received a complaint, Holt said, flat, professional, regarding inappropriate conduct between yourself and inmate 4782. The floor dropped out from under Kiara's world. That's not... The complaint comes from inmate Jackson, cell 43. She claims to have witnessed extended, unsupervised contact between you and Davis during the power outage 4 nights ago. Holt's eyes were cold. She's very detailed in her report. Jackson, the woman who'd been trying to get trustee privileges for 6 months, the one who'd sell her own mother for a reduced sentence. Nothing happened, Kiara said. Then you won't mind a formal investigation. No, Kiara's mind raced. An investigation meant interviews, records pulled, her personnel file examined, the Dawson case reopened, everything exposed. Where is Davis now? She asked. Solitary, for her own protection. Holt leaned back. And yours. Until we determine the validity of Jackson's claims, you're both separated. How long? As long as it takes. Kiara's hands clenched into fists. Permission to speak freely, ma'am? Denied. You're dismissed. Outside the office, the morning shift was changing over. Inmates filing to breakfast, officers checking in. Rodriguez caught her arm. I heard. Chen, listen to me. I have to see her. Are you insane? You go near solitary right now and you're admitting. I don't care. Kiara pulled free. I need to see her. Then you're fucked. I know. She walked toward solitary anyway.
Please subscribe to Sapphic Whispers and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Now let's continue. Solitary was a wing unto itself, concrete and silence. 6 cells, no windows. The guard at the desk, Martinez, young, eager to please, looked up as Kiara approached. Officer Chen, you're not on solitary rotation today. I know. I need to check on inmate Davis. Warden's orders are no contact until... 5 minutes. Kiara met his eyes. Please, Martinez, I just need to verify she's okay. He hesitated, then sighed. 5 minutes, and if anyone asks, you were never here. Thank you. Cell 3. The door was solid steel with a slot for food. Kiara knocked. Mia. Silence. 10. They finally let you come. Mia's voice muffled through the steel. I was starting to think you'd actually abandoned me. I didn't know they moved you until an hour ago. Liar. You knew. You just had to decide if I was worth the risk. Kiara pressed her forehead against the door. Mia, we need to talk about how I destroyed your life. A bitter laugh. Jackson saw us. I knew she would. I made sure of it. The words hit like ice water. What? The power outage wasn't an accident, Kiara. I paid someone to cut the backup generator. I made sure Henderson was distracted. I orchestrated everything so we'd be alone in the dark. A pause, and I made sure Jackson was watching. Kiara's blood turned cold. Why? Because you were never going to choose me on your own. Mia's voice dropped, raw. You were going to keep hiding behind your guilt and your uniform and your fear, so I forced your hand. Kiara couldn't breathe. You filed the complaint. Jackson did, but I made sure she had something to report. Jesus Christ, Mia. I needed to know. Now there was heat in Mia's voice, desperation. I needed to know if you'd come back, if you'd choose me over your career, over your fucking bride. I needed to know if any of this, her voice cracked, if any of this mattered to you. Kiara slammed her palm against the door. You think ruining both our lives proves I care about you? I think, she said quietly, that if you really didn't care, you wouldn't be here right now. The truth of it settled like lead in Kiara's chest. Behind her, footsteps, heavy, official. Chen, Warden Holt's voice cut through the corridor. Step away from that door, now. Kiara turned. Holt stood 10 feet away, flanked by 2 security officers, Rodriguez behind them, face pale. I was just violating direct orders. Holt's expression was granted. Martinez opened that door. The young guard fumbled with his keys. The cell door swung open. Mia stood into center of the tiny space, arms at her sides, chin lifted, meeting Kiara's eyes with something like triumph. Inmate Davis, Holt said. You're being transferred to maximum security pending investigation. No, the word ripped out of Kiara. You can't. Officer Chen, you're suspended without pay, effective immediately. Badge and weapon, now. The security officers moved forward. This was it. The moment. The choice. Kiara could comply, hand over her badge, walk away, save what was left of her career, let Mia disappear into the system like she'd disappeared 3 years ago. Or her hand went to her badge.
The room held its breath. "I have something to confess," Kiara said, voice steady, clear. "About the Dawson case." Holt's eyes narrowed. "This isn't the time." "Chen," Rodriguez's voice, warning. "I falsified my report, not intentionally but through negligence, and that negligence resulted in an innocent woman being convicted of murder when she was acting in self-defense." Mia made a sound, half gasp, half sob. Holt's face had gone very still. "Are you confessing to official misconduct?" "Yes, ma'am. Do you understand what that means?" "I'll lose my badge, probably face criminal charges. My career is over." Kiara's eyes found Mia's, held. "But she gets a new trial, with all the evidence, a real chance." "Kiara, don't," Mia's voice broke. "Don't do this for me." "I'm not doing it for you." Kiara smiled, sad, certain. "I'm doing it because it's right, because I should have done it 3 years ago." Silence stretched like a wire. Then Holt moved, took Kiara's badge from her hand with surprising gentleness. "Rodriguez, escort Officer Chen off the premises. Martinez, get Davis back to her cell, and someone call the TA's office." She looked at Kiara one last time. I hope she was worth it. She was. Rodriguez's hand on her arm, pulling her away. Kiara let herself be led backward, her eyes locked on Mia. Mia, whose face was wet with tears now, whose hands had come up to grip the doorframe like she might break it. "I'll testify," Kiara called back. "I'll tell them everything, I promise." "Kiara!" The security door slammed shut between them. Rodriguez walked her to the parking lot in silence. At Kiara's car, she finally spoke. "That was the stupidest, bravest thing I've ever seen." Kiara laughed, hollow. "Yeah. She better be worth it." "She is." Rodriguez handed her a folded piece of paper. "Martinez slipped this to me before Holt showed up. Said Davis gave it to him this morning." Kiara unfolded it. That precise handwriting. "I didn't plan to fall in love with you. I planned to destroy you. But somewhere between hate and revenge, I found something worth saving. Not me. Us. Whatever happens next, thank you for seeing me. For the first time in 3 years, someone finally saw me. I'm sorry I'm not brave enough to say this to your face. Mister." Kiara's vision blurred. She got in her car, started the engine, drove 3 blocks before she had to pull over because she couldn't see through the tears. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered anyway. "Officer Chen," a woman's voice, professional, unfamiliar. "This is Assistant District Attorney Sarah Mills. I'm calling regarding case number 2021-4782, the Dawson murder. I understand you have new evidence?" Kiara's heart hammered. Yes. Good, because I've been reviewing the original case file, and I have questions. A lot of questions. A pause. "Can you come to my office tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.? "I'll be there." "And Officer Chen, bring everything, every piece of evidence you found, because if what you're saying is true, Mills of Quits hardened. Someone's going to pay for what happened to Mia Davis." The line went dead. Kiara sat in her car, engine running, the note clutched in her hand. Behind her, Greystone Correction rose like a tombstone against the sky. Inside, Mia was locked in solitary. Tomorrow, Kiara would walk into the DA's office and confess to everything, would hand over her career, her freedom, maybe her life. For a woman she barely knew, for a woman who'd orchestrated her downfall, for a woman she was falling in love with despite every warning, every rational thought, every self-protective instinct screaming at her to run. She looked at the note again. "Thank you for seeing me." Kiara resting to her chest. "I see you," she whispered. "God help me, I see you." She put the car in drive and headed toward whatever came next. Some loves are worth the fall. Part 2 coming soon. Subscribe to Sapphic Whispers for more stories that refuse to stay silent.